Hey listeners, welcome to the When Did You Know podcast. Thank you for joining us today. We have a great couple lined up for you today. I'm super excited to help tell their stories and introduce you guys to them. They've been friends and a part of my life for quite some time now, and I've gotten to see, like the it factor and them, in their relationship and the love they have for each other and for other people. In raising a young daughter to now somebody that's going to be a teenager soon, their wonderful daughter, Cami. And I'm just super excited to get this started. So Gonzalo and Annie, thank you so much for not only agreeing to be on the show, but also letting us use your beautiful space, because it is definitely nicer than my apartment.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Yeah.
We're very excited.
Yeah. So I definitely want the audience to get more familiar with you guys. So starting with Annie, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah. My name's Annie, and I am 44 years old.
Young, 44 young.
I try to keep young as much as possible. Luckily, with the help of Cami, my beautiful daughter Cami, I get to stay young. And I am first and foremost wife to Gonzalo and mother to Cami. And that is just my most important role that I have in my life. And I am an educator during the day. And I focus on teaching students world language education, world languages and culture. I'm currently working in district administration in a public school district where I supervise those programs. And so that takes me to the next bit of information about myself, which is I was born in the States, but I am of Korean descent. So my parents were born and raised in Korea and immigrated here. And so I am the daughter of immigrants. That has defined me. It has been a defining factor in our relationship and the home that we've built together. And so, that's pretty much me in a nutshell.
Thanks so much, Annie. Yeah. And apparently you're very, very good at your job.
I try to be
we're not
good
gonna,
at all my
talk.
jobs,
If we were to talk about all the recognitions and awards, we wouldn't have time for the show. So thank you, Annie. And Gonzalo?
Yes, my name is Gonzalo. I'm 45 years old. Born and raised in Peru, South America, not in Nebraska. There's a Peru in Nebraska. Most people will get confused. And I work in finance. My job is not as excited as any, but I try to do it to make it a little excited every day. That's it.
That's great. And you're Peruvian.
Right.
Okay.
I was born and raised in Peru.
Okay, great.
Yeah. I moved here, or I've been here in the States for over 20 years.
Wow. Okay.
Actually, this year in July was my 20th anniversary.
Well, congrats on the upcoming anniversary.
Yeah, thank you.
It looks like you did quite well for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
here. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I'm super interested to, when we get to talking about that portion about how the cultural differences or similarities, kind of played into the relationship too. Mm-hmm. But, before we get too far into that, let's start from the beginning, right? That's always a great place to start from. I'm just curious, do you guys, remember like where, when, and how you guys met, what that initial interaction was like?
It was in 2005, October 2005. So I used to live in Arizona, and my brother lived here in Dallas. So he invited me for his birthday party because my parents were gonna be here visiting him, so it was kind of like a surprise for them. Mm-hmm. So that's where we met, in my brother's birthday party.
So you were flying from Phoenix here just to kind of mainly like with the family focused.
Yeah, I wasn't looking for anything. I was just looking forward to see my parents. See my brother, my family.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for a date, or I wasn't looking forward to meet someone. I was just happy to see my family.
Now, Annie, how did you end up at said birthday party?
So I am and was friends with Gonzalo's sister-in-law, who's now my sister-in-law, so his brother's wife.
Okay.
So we worked together at the same school, and she invited me to go to celebrate her husband's birthday party. So I went. I didn't really expect a whole lot. I knew he was going to be there. But, I was single and I was young and was going to celebrate.
One thing that you need to know, Chris, is like she was having conversations with my sister-in-law about me.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
Okay.
It wasn't that many conversations about you.
But you were having some conversations.
It was some conversations.
Yes. So, I mean, like, you and the sister-in-law seemed like you guys were kind of close coworkers and just kind of talking about it, or was it more than that? Like, was she trying to set y'all up?
She showed me a picture of him and said, "Hey, my brother-in-law is going to be there. Why don't you come?"
So she knew I was coming.
Yeah.
I didn't know she was going to be.
And I didn't know that he didn't know that I did it.
Yeah.
Wait,
okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay. So, you got to see what a fine-looking man he was before you ever got to meet.
Well, by picture, I just knew that he was going to be there.
Okay, not like super impressed.
It was one picture, and it probably wasn't his best picture.
Wow. Yeah. Do you feel personally attacked?
A little bit.
Yeah. Okay. Let's continue moving on through that.
Everyone
meeting.
has good and bad pictures.
Yes. Yeah. So you get to that birthday party. You're taking care of your family obligations. I'm sure you're just being the social butterfly that you are. Who came and approached who? What was that first conversation like?
Well, again, for me, I wasn't looking for anything. So it was kind of funny because it was a Hispanic party.
Okay.
So everyone was Hispanic, but then a couple of Asian people came to the party, So for me, it was Annie and one of her friends. And then, so for me, I was like, well, kind of weird because this is a Hispanic party. And then I didn't know her. So I was like, whatever. So like I say, I wasn't expecting anything. So for me, it was just Annie was one more person of the party.
Okay. I mean, let's not pretend you didn't notice her when you got to the party. Come on.
You didn't notice me when you went to the party?
I mean, yes.
But only because I was Asian.
Yeah, but not because... Okay, all right. Yeah. Well, you're kind of digging yourself into the hole there.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah,
there we go.
Annie, what are your memories of, speaking with him?
I actually don't recall speaking with him. I think... I don't necessarily think we exchanged words.
No, it was just...
Except I said goodbye when I left.
Wow.
Because I ran into him outside and I just said, I just said goodbye.
You're like, I know your brother. And he's like, how? No, but okay. So you guys actually didn't even like really speak or get to know each other at that party? Just kind of...
At all?
No, I don't recall that at all. Now, one thing is, because I was friends with his sister-in-law, it's like I knew his family before I knew him. And my memory of that party was actually centered around his parents. I mean, I knew of his parents. I had heard, just family stories, just from being friends with his sister-in-law. So I knew his brother and the brother's wife, so my friend. And then just kind of being able to put together, those are his parents. And I remember seeing them dancing in the kitchen. And I was just thinking, what a lovely family.
Yeah?
Yeah. What a really nice family.
We are fun.
Yeah.
As a family, we're really fun. So
that is true. Really fun. And they're all good friends. The siblings are really good friends, and the parents are good friends with the children, and and vice versa. And so I think I was just kind of admiring family dynamic more than anything. And I want to throw in there, had you had talked to me, maybe you wouldn't have seen me so out of place because, I mean, I was another Spanish speaker there.
Oh, wow. Yes. Yeah, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
And all he saw was the exterior.
So for me, it was her with her date.
With her friend, the girl?
Yeah.
But you kind of judge a book by its cover a little bit.
Yeah,
and the cover was pretty. And you were like,
bad. Yeah, that was my bad.
You're still like, Judgment. Okay,
Yeah,
whatever.
that was totally my bad.
Okay. It worked out. So like, when was the next interaction? Like, was the sister-in-law of Gonzalo's brother trying to like hook y'all up after, or how did y'all?
So after the party, I went back to Arizona,
Okay.
but then moved to Dallas in December.
Okay. Of that same year. Okay.
Yes, and then
What was the reason for the move?
just to be with my family,
Okay.
with my brother. I was in
Family-oriented, man.
Yes.
Okay.
I was in Arizona with my cousin, but I felt that family connection. I needed that.
Yeah.
That's why I moved here, because my brother was here.
Yeah.
Then when I moved here, I was like, hey, maybe becoming a teacher is my
Okay.
call. So I went to a job fair because there was a job fair to hire teachers.
Mm-hmm.
So I was standing there with all my papers, my diploma, my resume, and then Annie came, and then she stopped in front of me, and she was like, I know you. And I was like, oh yeah, and then I know you too.
Yeah.
So we connected again, and then what happened next? That's how we saw each other again after the party.
Okay. First time after the party.
Yeah. Yes.
First time after the party. And then a week later, she invited me over for a crawfish party that your friend was having.
Okay. So information was exchanged.
No, not really. I would want to throw in there, that's probably where we did connect, like when we saw each other.
Yes.
And we recognized one
Mhm,
another.
mhm.
That was a little spark moment.
Yeah, definitely yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there was a sense of like familiarity a little bit and connection.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there was a connection that day.
Yeah.
In a weird way, but there was a connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like,
Because there's like tons of people around us.
It was like weird. Like, why would I?
I
run
was
into
gonna
you?
go into an interview,
Yeah.
so my mind wasn't. I'm going to an interview, but I want to talk to her.
Mhm.
I recognize her, so there was some weird, but good connection.
Yeah.
And then I ended up telling my sister-in-law, "Hey, I ran into your brother-in-law," and I think that's kind of, I don't remember exactly how everything happened, but I think she had shared with me, oh, he had moved here, and so I had plans to attend a crawfish boil soon after, and I thought, I said, well, if he's new here,
Okay. Yeah.
I said, what? I'll just let her know, hey, come and bring anybody you want to.
But bring Gonzalo.
No, I was telling him, like, tell him to come over to the party, and he can bring whoever he wants to bring. And I didn't know if he was available or not. I mean, I was just kind of, there was a connection, but it was more like
Because
let's
remember,
just get
we
to
didn't
know each
talk
other type of thing.
from October all the way here.
But there's something to be said about that, right? Like, you guys see each other again. You've already kind of vetted him through the family, at least, and the family dynamic, and it's not she's not out of place at a job fair, and you're not around that family birthday dynamic, focusing on the parents. You guys are just kind of, it's a serendipitous moment. Yeah. And then I'm sure in your head, you're kind of like, oh yeah, kind of cute.
Definitely, yeah.
So you hopped on the opportunity, joined the crawfish boil. Did you even know what a crawfish boil was?
No,
okay,
I didn't know it was a crawfish.
Okay.
So I was like, let's go. I was like, let's go.
Yeah.
So it wasn't a date, but it was kind of like a date.
Yeah.
Yes.
You sat together.
We talked like the whole time.
Yeah, we talked the whole night.
Okay.
And it was a poolside party, so I mean, swimsuits and all.
Yeah.
I mean, it was comfortable. I didn't feel uncomfortable.
It was.
Yeah.
I'm sure he was a little distracted, maybe in the conversation. Do you remember?
It was funny because there was a lot of. I mean, it was a party, so there was music, a lot of people, but the party was on one side, and Annie and I were in the other side, just having a great conversation.
Wow.
Like a connection. I had a great connection that day.
Yeah.
So it was weird, but in a good way.
I love how it kind of develops slowly, organically.
Yeah.
Over time.
Definitely.
Like it's pretty cool. So now there's definitely like a spark. There's interest.
Yes.
How long before between then and then like, okay, boyfriend girlfriend status?
DTR, yeah, define the relationship.
Uh-huh.
I don't
I don't remember.
recall. I think, like you said, everything happened just so organically and so naturally that there's not a lot of defining moments I'd have to, that I could really look back on and say, this was it.
I mean, there was another party, and we invited her.
A lot of parties.
Annie. Yes, everything was in the party.
Yeah.
And that's where our first kiss was.
Ooh, I was just about to ask about that.
Oh,
Okay.
yes, I do remember.
Let's talk about the first kiss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who, what was give me the situation,
We were
like
outside.
what was
I remember we were
outside?
We were outside.
We were taking a walk.
Yeah, we were taking a walk. I mean, the party was across the street from my brother's house.
Mm-hmm.
So the party ended, I think. So we were walking back. And again, we had a great time at the party. So in my mind, I was like, I think Annie, she can be my girlfriend. Mm-hmm. So I took one step forward, and then I kissed her.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he did.
He did.
Yeah, she wasn't expecting that.
I wasn't. I wasn't. I definitely remember the unexpected kiss. Yes.
I mean, did you at all think that he was interested though? I mean, from the time.
Oh yeah, I knew he was definitely interested in me. In fact, at the party, can I tell this story a little?
Yeah.
There was somebody else who was. I don't really know what he was doing, but he was trying to get my attention.
She was calling you names.
Like a provocative type of names.
Yeah.
And he wasn't having that, and
confronted him.
we confronted him.
And it's another funny story. And I say, hey, don't talk to like that to my girlfriend.
Okay.
And then Annie was like, girlfriend? Like, no, we're not boyfriend and girlfriend.
Yes.
I remember your face.
Yeah.
And then you were a girlfriend. You were.
Like,
she was kind of mad.
No,
I don't know if it was mad or something, but I was like, girlfriend.
And I remember him saying, oh, sorry, I didn't know she was your girlfriend, which I was like, I didn't know I was your girlfriend either.
Yeah. And that ended the party for us. So we were like, okay, let's just go.
And that's how we started to walk. And I guess he wanted to seal the deal with the kiss. So
yes.
he did.
Yeah. I mean, wow. So like you step in, knight in shining armor, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, guess, kind of, right? And then, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, it was odd because I didn't realize. Of course, I didn't know that was going to happen or who this other guy was. But what I liked about it was that even though he was trying to get my attention, I felt like Gonzalo was protecting me. Mm-hmm. And I
was protecting.
I know he was protecting me, and I love that the feeling of feeling safe.
Yeah.
Even though I wasn't really in danger per se, but he was basically saying like lay off, and he wasn't afraid to say that.
Yeah.
And that I really admired that courage.
It's an attractive quality.
Yeah, it was an attractive quality and something that definitely I appreciate and look for, and will.
So I was like, Superman.
Yeah,
I did it.
You were feeling brave already.
But then she was like, girlfriend. So I was deflated, really fast. Went back to my normal life.
But sometime between being deflated and taking that walk, you had put it out there already, and you were like, you found that courage again. Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. So you guys on the same page about that night and the first kiss.
Yes. Yes.
Well, not the same page on the
story. About the story.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, I think with those two events, the knight in shining armor, you're not gonna get into my space with my girl, and then with the kiss, I think those two events really defined the relationship. So at that moment was pretty much a DTR for us.
Yeah. Okay. But did he officially ask? at some point, or
Gonzalo or the other young
No,
gentleman?
Gonzalo. Like after that kiss and that night.
I don't recall. I think it was through his actions that
Enough
he just
said.
yeah, kind of like.
I mean, with the kiss, I thought that was sealed.
Yeah.
I was like,
okay.
no words needed.
All right. How romantic. Chivalry is not dead, ladies and
No,
gentlemen.
chivalry is not dead. It better not be dead because it's a very attractive quality.
Yeah. So okay, you now it's official, and you guys are
Apparently.
dating. How long was the dating period, the courtship?
Over a year.
Yeah, about just about a year before probably under a year before we got engaged.
Under a year. Wow, okay.
Yeah, definitely.
But going back to, I knew his family. I knew this was not a stranger per se, right? Because, like you said, there was I already knew his family. I already knew his background.
You planned a trip to
Excuse
Peru with Erica.
Oh yes, I did.
So when we started after the kiss, you went to Peru.
Oh yeah.
Without him.
Well, because it was long planned before.
She planned it before
He ever
meeting me.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's right. You're
Yeah.
right. I forgot about
To
that.
maybe originally find another nice Peruvian
I
man.
Well,
It was just like,
Good thing I
I'm
sealed the deal
single,
before.
I'm gonna travel and with my career and everything, the value that I place on
Sure.
language and culture.
Sure.
I love to travel, and so she had invited me and said, if you want to come, and I said, sure, why not? And so I went, and by that time, yes, we were together, but he was not a part of the trip.
Okay. Yeah.
And so then I really got to know his family before.
Right.
And then when I was on the trip, I just super missed him. I remember thinking, oh my gosh, like, when am I going to go back to the States? Like, I don't like being separated from him. And it just like really hurt my heart to not be with him.
Yeah.
And so I thought, oh boy, this is different.
So that's beautiful, and like you had mentioned a couple of times that you had gotten to know his family, and so I'm guessing like in turn, like kind of the Peruvian culture and what that dynamic is like. Would you say there's a lot of similarities or differences between like the Korean side of things, which I'm sure you were not aware of at all yet?
At all.
Yeah.
At all.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Like for
he got school of
I mean, it's gonna sound bad, but for Peruvians, all the Asian people were the same.
Yeah.
It's bad before. Now it's different.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So for me, it was kind of like that. But now
I didn't know the difference between it. Yeah.
But
and
so
now
like,
he's baptized Korean, so it's fine.
Yeah, right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But no, like for you, so like what you've seen with the Peruvian family dynamic, like that's something that you were like, oh, I could see being a part of my life. And
yeah, so I mean, of course I can't generalize really anything, but from my experience with his family and my family, I think that there are a lot of similarities. There's some fundamental differences too.
Sure.
One being, I think in Korean culture and a lot of Asian culture, the value of duty and responsibility is way up there. That drives a lot of decisions. It drives a lot of relationships. It drives a lot of dynamics. Is this sense of duty and fulfilling that duty and obligation and responsibility.
Yeah, so much so, like almost to a fault. In the
sometimes,
extreme.
right? In the extreme.
Yeah.
In the Peruvian culture, Latin culture, in what I saw of his family, which pretty much fit with what I knew about Latin-based culture, is that there is a high value on relationships and more about people.
Yeah.
Relationships and people.
Yeah.
And that is not going to... I would say in the Korean culture, at least as far as I've lived and witnessed, sometimes that can play second fiddle to responsibility and duty. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I should have been Peruvian growing up.
Some of us might have been misplaced. So I think those are two fundamental differences that I think when we formed our home together really sharpened one another.
Ah, cool.
Right? Because I was bringing I was driven by my sense of duty, responsibility, need to excel, to be successful, even if it were at the expense of relationships sometimes.
Sure.
And his ideology was completely different. And so that was something that we definitely had to work through.
Yeah, and probably learn from each other.
Yes,
Yeah.
and I think that balance is just incredibly beautiful.
Yeah.
And it keeps us from swaying one way or the other, all the while I think the influence of both sides is really important.
Yeah. Best of both worlds.
Yes,
Right.
I think so. And I think it makes us stronger as individuals, and I think it makes us stronger as a family. To go back to your question about, what kind of differences, other than that, if we take that root of, of what could be a big difference, if we think outside of that, I just think there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah. Importance of family.
Importance of family, the family unit, the importance of religion.
Faith.
Yeah, religion and faith in a culture and in one's upbringing and in a home. All of those things, really, when it comes down to what are the important values, I feel that many of that is the same. And so we don't really have, arguments about that sort of thing or disagreements about that kind of stuff.
That's great.
Even though we're from two very different cultures.
Were you at all nervous to introduce him to your family, or like you meeting them? Because she knew about your family.
Me. I was really nervous. I
can't blame you.
Yeah. I didn't really have that experience because, again, I knew his family before I even knew him. And then remember, I took the trip over. And so I had spent a lot of time in his home without him.
Yeah, she met my whole family.
Without him.
Oh, so when you went by yourself, you spent time with his family?
I did. I went into his
not
family.
Not only my parents, but with my uncles and aunts.
Some of them,
Yeah.
And they knew that y'all just started dating, I guess?
Yes. Because I spent extended time with your mother. Also, just chit-chatting and things like that. They invited me into their home for tea.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah, and so
they connected really well.
I'm sure you
my
were
my mom and Annie connected really, really well.
Yeah.
So that was a plus.
Yeah. You must have been nervous and also kind of jealous that everyone's having time with Annie. Yeah. But it's a good thing, right? It's a good thing. Good experience.
Yeah. I was very happy that she met all my family.
Yeah.
Because, the distance, so they really wanted to meet her. So that was a good trip, I think.
Yeah.
You weren't nervous at all?
You're
with the friend too, so
I'm sure I was nervous.
But my family was open.
But
that's awesome.
Yeah.
You just feel comfortable like that.
I didn't feel nervous. I think it was nervous, excited nervous, not nervous because I felt like maybe I wasn't going to be well received or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting. That's such an interesting part of you guys' story because, I would say 99% of the time, it's usually the couple getting to know each other and bonding and building that trust and then meeting each other's family.
Yeah, so it's a little bit backwards.
Yeah. And that's, I don't know if that's even a better way almost. Because it would be very important for me that my family, my parents and my sister especially, liked my spouse and got along with them.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. All right. So Gonzalo meets your family at some point.
I think we met on the wedding.
I think that's what I'm thinking too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
We attended a wedding. Not our wedding.
Oh, no.
A friend's wedding.
That would be bad.
We went to a friend's wedding, and I took him as my date.
Okay.
So he knew that he was going to meet I don't know if my dad
parents.
My dad was there too?
Yeah.
Okay, so my parents were both there as well at this family friend's wedding.
Sure.
So one of Annie's idea in the middle of the party was, take my mom to dance.
Oh,
Gonzalo's a wonderful dancer.
okay.
And I was like, I don't want to do
And-
that. That was the first time.
In front of everybody.
In front of
So we're
everyone.
talking about all of Korean community that was there, other friends, my family,
So
their friends.
yeah, so I did it. We danced. We have a picture of me dancing with my mother-in-law.
Oh, we're gonna have to get that from
With
John.
my
Throw it up.
mom.
That was my first interaction with.
And you were the only ones dancing on the.
Yes.
It's not like it was like this crowd of
Oh.
people dancing.
No,
Like
it was just me
it was
and
highlighted.
my mother-in-law.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you must be a phenomenal dancer, and you must have know that and set him up for success there. Like,
Yes.
this is your moment.
And he's very charismatic.
Oh,
and
yeah.
can definitely. I mean, people are drawn to him and his personality, and so I felt like he could do it.
Yeah, for me, it was I had to make that move
Yeah.
in order to meet her parents.
Yeah. Okay.
That was the moment.
That was the
And
moment.
I took the chance.
Wow. So it's like kind of like the opposite of Vince Vaughn in Wedding Crashers, where he's like, "Why'd I have to go showing off like that?" You know? Like,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's actually that's pretty cool.
It's gutsy,
And he
right?
nailed it, and you were like, "Dang, I was
he
more
did
impressed."
nail it
Yeah.
because what if somebody else? I don't know. Somebody could have said, "Oh my gosh, what is he doing?" But
Yeah.
no, everyone was very
Supportive.
Yeah, supportive and happy.
You go, girl, Annie.
Yeah, well, I think they were more rooting for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he did it and
Yeah.
took her out. So I just he was the courage paid off.
No, your dad wasn't there. It was just your mom.
That's what I thought. I thought
okay.
it was just my
It was
mom.
just it was your mom. Yeah.
I think my dad probably would have thought it was pretty funny too.
Yeah, pretty amazing. Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have to teach me how to dance. Sidebar. We'll have that conversation after the episode. But okay, so at this point, you've met both each other's families. The relationship's getting a little more serious. Like, any funny stories from that period? Anything that comes to mind? Anything interesting, pivotal, anything like that?
One of the funniest for me it was I didn't know how to use chopsticks,
Ah,
and then I didn't like sushi.
oh,
And then every time that Annie's parents wanted to go out, it was, let's go and get sushi. I was like, I can't eat sushi. So I learned how to eat sushi. But every time that we went to a restaurant, my father-in-law will be like, can you bring a fork for him?
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was like,
Okay.
oh.
Yeah.
The inside, I was like, oh,
yeah.
I need to learn how to use chopsticks. So one day I took the chopsticks, I took it to work.
Oh,
So I was at my office just picking up my pen, eraser, and everything. And that's how I learned how to use chopsticks.
man.
So one day when he was like, can you bring a fork for him?
said-
And I was like, don't worry, I got it. I know how to use chopsticks. So that was one of the funny stories.
Hold my beer moment. I'm sure he
Yeah.
was impressed.
Yeah.
Yeah. The things we'll do for love, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
And that's how I learned how to use chopsticks.
I'm sure you got some points that day.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Annie? Anything you remember from this beautiful courtship period? Did y'all take trips together?
During our courtship, not so much. I mean, we went around town and
Mhm.
did some things, but
We were
It
together
was-
almost every day.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's
it
quality.
was just in the
Yeah.
daily, in the daily life.
Sure.
And remember, I was new here in Dallas, so Annie was
Yeah, and we took
showing
him
me
around
everywhere.
and
Yeah.
No, that's fun.
different
Yeah.
places
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Dallas
That's cool.
and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's start getting to like the proposal, or like, okay, I guess this is like the part in the show where we like to kind of start with the wife, and then kind of go to Gonzalo after on kind of when did you know that you wanted to spend the rest of your life with Gonzalo, right? It doesn't. I know. I realize it might not be just one moment, but it could be, or it might be a series of things. Like, how did it happen for you?
Yeah. So there wasn't any
Date.
big aha moment. Like I said earlier, I knew that it was a little bit more serious when it was difficult to be away from him when I was on this trip.
Yeah.
So that I thought, gosh, that feeling of I'd rather be with him than exploring the world somewhere or traveling around, I knew that was definitely telling. I was like, okay, this is special. And then from there, it was in the smaller things, like I said, because it's not like we had this magical courtship, where we were traveling the world together, or we had these, fancy outings or anything like that. It was in the daily grind of life, of, work, friendships, relationships, weekdays, weekends, and just little things. I mentioned the protection piece, the shared faith. The shared faith. I loved the value of people that he brought into my life, like I said, because we were talking about some of those root values that really defined how I grew up. And I saw him kind of loosening those binds a little bit in order to become a better person. And I felt that I had very similar influence on him as far as pushing him to get better in different ways too. And so that balance of making each other better,
growing,
I thought, was really also telling. Because sometimes, you can be in friendships or relationships with different people, not just romantic relationships, but any type of relationships, and you don't really feel like they're, you're not really sure that y'all are adding value to each other's lives, to become better people, better versions of yourselves. And in this case, I felt like I was, and he was giving me a lot of courage to do things that maybe I wasn't really sure that I could do, like maybe apply for, a different job, or, acquire a better this or that. And so the courage that he brought to me, and I gave you a couple examples of his sense of courage to really just go for things when I didn't have the courage to, or you would think, oh gosh, that's a big jump right there to take your perhaps future mother-in-law out to the dance floor in front of everybody and maybe crash and burn, or it could be something great. So, those types of things. So it was in the little gestures of everyday life that were not really showy, that kind of started to convince me.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Gonzalo?
Pretty much the same. I didn't have a date like a Wednesday the 15th that I knew.
Okay. Yeah.
But I think for me it was, even though we were coming from different cultures, we had a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
Like, for example, like family is huge for her family. For my family is huge too.
Yeah.
On very important part right now is like she brought me back to church. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I grew, my faith grew with Annie because she taught me how to do it.
Wow.
And that was a very, very, well, at that time it wasn't like very important part, but now I realize that it was very important for me.
Okay.
That faith.
Wow.
That part.
That's incredible. I'm making an assumption here, but would it be safe to say that individually you both wanted to have children?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So was that a part of the kind of the moment too, or the decision is like, oh, I might actually want to have a kid and grow with this person and raise a child together?
I think both were ready at the time. And then of course the kids and everything, but I think we were ready at that part of our lives to make the next steps.
Sure. So how old were you when you got married?
29.
I was 28.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're coming up on
So a little bit later than,
it's early compared to me.
Now, individuals are definitely establishing themselves even more before they, get married or start serious relationships. But I, at that time, felt like it was a little bit later for me.
Okay.
I always kind of imagined that I would probably get married a lot earlier, like early 20s. But
For me too, I thought I was gonna be married in 25.
Yeah, early 20s,
And then
I thought, for sure.
when I moved here, I was like, well, this is gonna be impossible. I'm not gonna get married ever, because I was in pretty much a new life here.
Yeah. Even with the dance moves.
Even
the boys
with the
can
dance
look. Yeah, I don't even think about that anymore. So I was just trying to get at, like, you've been married for, like, what?
16
15,
years.
16 years
16
now.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's amazing, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, again, thank you so much for sharing, all those details and, taking us down memory lane and being vulnerable and, letting us hear your story. We're kind of at the part where it's one of my favorite parts of the show is where, you guys been married for 16 years. You definitely have something special. Do you have, there's a lot of people listening, hopefully, that, are single and trying to still look for, the one, if that's a thing, or like people that are married or in between marriages, or happily married or still kind of struggling, like any parting like words of wisdom on, regarding married life or finding the one. We'll start with Annie. We'll give you some time there. Like a word of wisdom for like sustaining happy marriage. How did you get to 16 years,
For marriage, communication is key.
Okay.
You have to learn how to communicate with your wife. That was one of my issues, I guess, at the beginning, because I didn't know how to communicate with Annie, because we were coming from two different cultures. But then I think I learned now, right?
The thing is that people...
I think we have a good communication now.
Yeah, well, the thing is that people evolve.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not the same girl I was when I got married to Gonzalo even 16 years ago. I'm probably a different person than I was even just a few years ago. So I don't know that there's a secret ingredient to a happy anything, honestly. I think life throws different things at you all the time, and people grow and evolve and change, and there's lots of challenges ahead, and probably what sustains me is just the commitment, right? It's like I made a commitment, and I have to always go back to that commitment that, for us, it was a sacred commitment that we made in front of many people inside a holy place.
Yeah.
And so regardless of, sometimes communication breaks down.
Yeah.
And sometimes, I do think that he knows how to handle me. But that's not necessarily forever.
Yeah.
Because at some point I'll change again.
You change again, yeah.
Because as we evolve and grow, we're just not the same people. I'm not sure if that's like the aha answer to that question.
I kind of love it because, even before the interview, we were just kind of talking about parenting and how big flexibility and how crucial that's been for you.
Yes.
You guys to, maintain that closeness, that relationship with your daughter, and also to, kind of, we living in a different time. Just like you're saying, we change, our lives change.
Yeah.
And so I think there's definitely a lot of importance in that.
Yeah, for sure. And those are all things, of course, we try to teach Cammie as well, as she evolves as a person and goes through her life. And then of course always coming back to after the commitment piece, always coming back to those values that you hold dear to yourselves, because that's kind of what also drives you.
Sure.
So.
And that's what you're gonna pass to your kids.
Yeah.
And that's, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's what we try to instill in Cammie now. Even now we have a family, right? So now we have to think beyond just our marriage. our marriage is that basis of this family. So we have to think about, okay, how are we demonstrating those values to Kimmy? What are we teaching her in her relationships and friendships with other people?
Sure.
And in her life as she evolves, so that she can have that same formation and be able to make, good decisions for herself as well.
Yeah, I love that. It's not just about y'all. It's about the commitment you made to the families, to God,
to our daughter,
wanting the best for your daughter.
Yeah.
I could definitely see how that keeps you guys grounded.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask this last question in a different way, right? Not necessarily, you don't have to think about like the masses, right? But I'm here. I'm in front of you. You guys know me. Now that I finally feel like, I'm becoming the person and kind of have something to offer, somebody else. What advice would you have for me? I'm not getting any younger. Oh, I did write down, Gonzalo. I did write down, I'm starting dancing lessons tomorrow, so I can pull that move. Yeah.
There we go.
Thank you for that already. Maybe even like if, for the jaded, folks that want to give up, that've been burned before, that don't really know what they're looking for, what they're starting. I mean, I love that you said you weren't even looking for anything, and I've heard that a million times, right? It's like God, someone will be brought into your life when you're least expecting it, and I think I can't be like nonchalant about it, but I can't also just put blinders on to be thinking about that.
I think from me, based on my experience, is don't expect anything.
Yeah.
There is someone there for you. You might don't know her tomorrow. You might don't know her today, but it will come eventually.
Yeah.
So the more that you look, I think it's going to be one step back.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it.
I think there's always somebody out there that will challenge you and support you to be a better version of yourself. And that person is worth
The wait.
everything.
Yeah.
And that person is the one worth dancing for.
That's beautiful.
And because that's for life. You want somebody who will challenge you and make you better and improve yourself. So more than a list of all of these things that make somebody ideal for you, probably that might be the best advice that I would have for you is, recognize when someone makes you a better version of yourself.
Yeah.
And recognize the small things, not the magical, fancy events.
Yeah, idealized romantic version of love, and it is work.
The daily grind, because that's real life, right? Most days are just living your daily grind.
Yeah.
And it's like who makes you that better version of yourself? Who makes you laugh while you're doing it?
Yeah.
Who brings you joy while you're doing it? Yeah. I think when you stop laughing with somebody smiling with somebody, then that might be something worth thinking about twice.
Sure. Yeah. I think that's so relevant to this generation of dating, because a lot of it is looking at pictures and swiping, or like putting on, does he meet does he or she meet this criteria that I have on a list, and that's as far as you get, and that's definitely, I'm going to carry that with me, as I continue on in my journey. And again, I'm just so grateful for you guys, and thank you for being on the show, and thank you for tuning in. When did you know? When